Hi, good evening and welcome. My name is Sue Top. I'm the president of AAUW Naperville Area. I want to welcome you all tonight to our special program on finding home, refugees, asylum seekers, and immigrants, and their personal stories. We have a really nice panel for you tonight, and I wanted to wish everyone a happy International Women's Day. I think this is a very appropriate discussion and event to have today, and I'm looking forward to hearing it, I'm sure, as you all are. I would like to introduce our moderator. Her name is Mary Anne Buckman, and she will introduce our panelists. Go ahead, Mary Anne.
Well, good evening, and I'm glad that you're all here, and I think you're going to really enjoy our hearing from our panelists. But before we go to them, I was asked to just do a quick little introduction and overview of immigration. An immigrant, as we probably all know, is a person who comes, in our case, to the United States to live permanently in what is a foreign country to them. And that's like the main title here. And then under that, we have several varieties of immigrant status. And our panelists tonight will be telling you a little bit about their status among many other questions they've been asked to cover. But in the subset under immigrants are some things that you've heard: refugees, asylum seekers, and then other things too that you haven't heard. And it's complex, but I want to talk about refugees and asylum seekers and the differences in those two subsets of immigrants. Refugees are people who are forced to leave their country due to and this is a quote from the law, well-founded fear of persecution. And it could be due to race, memberships in particular social groups, political situation, political opinion, religion, national origin, and things of that type. The people who come into the United States as refugees come in and get vetted out of the United States. And I don't think any of our panelists are in that group, but we'll find out when we talk to them. And we all know, we've heard about immigrants who spend sometimes time in a country not of their origin, but in a country maybe in a camp, or sometimes living independently for at least 2 years. That's usually how long it takes to vet, the shortest time it takes to vet someone as a refugee. And sometimes up to 15 or 20 years, because they're really hoping to go back to their country of origin and they're waiting to see what's going to happen. So that's refugees. Asylum seekers, and we have a nice little selection of them tonight with us. Our asylum seekers, they come due to the very same reasons that the refugees come, and they're allowed in under that very same, they're forced to leave their country because of a well-founded fear of persecution. Very same. But what's different is, in order to become an asylee or be an asylum seeker, they have to come into the United States first. And we've heard about them at the borders, but we don't hear about the ones who fly in on an airplane or cross over from Canada. We don't hear about other ones who come in all different ways. And once they're here, then they apply for asylum. There are other areas where people can be immigrants, including and talking about the coming to live here permanently. And some of those are family-based immigration, which is unifying families. Somebody from a family might be here, and then once they have a status of its citizenship, but some can do it earlier, they can bring in immediate family members of theirs from other countries. And some is employment-based, and we all heard about DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, of the children who come here with their parents, and they've never been vetted, and they're not documented, but they've lived here, and this is the only country and the only life they know. And so that's done under an executive order so far by various presidents, 2, 3 so far. But that's not a permanent thing yet. So anyway, before I go into all the other details, I don't want to go into all the other details, I want to introduce to you our very first panelist tonight. And her name is Yomardy La Cruz. She came to the United States from Venezuela in 2018 as a Fulbright scholar. And she has a number of years of teaching experience, 18 in Venezuela and 3 years here in the United States. She holds multiple college degrees, but due to political reasons now, she can no longer return to her country. Yomardy was able to obtain a teaching certificate in Illinois. She's going to complete her master's program at Northern Illinois University in literacy education, ESL, bilingual focus this spring. So Yomardy, please begin.
Hi, and thank you for inviting me to this talking and sharing. Yes, I'm Yomardy La Cruz. I'm from Caracas, Venezuela. And as you said, I taught in Venezuela 18 years, everything from kinder through university. I love teaching, the career that I had in my country and everything that is related with education. I became a high-level supervisor in my country, and also I was teaching at the university before I came. Over the years, I won many awards as a local teacher, and I have done research, created presentation that gave me the opportunity to travel and speak and share about education and about the thing that I knew. I was born for this. I think I was born as a teacher. I worked hard in my studies to get several degrees, as you mentioned before, and I was proud of all of I have done in my country. I was recommended to apply for a scholarship by my friends and peers in my country, and I did it in 2016. I was awarded to come to United States with a scholarship. And I had a lot of dreams. Being awarded with that scholarship, I said, well, I'm going to United States. This is an opportunity. I will grow professionally and personally, and I will become a better teacher. And I came in fall 2018 to participate in this program with the promise to come back after 3 months. But few days after my arrival, I learned that I was dismissed from my job. And with no reasons why. I learned later that it was for participating in this program that is sponsored by the United States. So the government pointed me as a traitor, and because of my participation in this program. And I'm gonna be honest, I just told the truth. I spoke about what was happening in my country. I spoke about things that I was very disappointed with through cultural affairs at the university and presentation that I had to do. So I couldn't return. When the program finished, as the rest of my friends and other participants from many countries around the world, they were able to. On the contrary, I started to live and I married. And in December 2018, I could not believe that it was happening to me. I was just a normal person, as you can see me on the screen. I prayed for a solution to this misunderstanding. And I reached out in many different ways because I just wanted to go home, but nothing changed. And even I went to the airport the day that my visa expired to get the airplane to return home, to be with my families, my friends, and continue my life. I didn't know what to do. And I was heartbroken, and every time that I remember that day, because I lay down in a bathroom and I called my mom. My mom said that she would rather never see me in person again, than for me to fly back mean to be killed or taken to some prison camps or never know where I am, or I don't know. So I choose to stay in this country with nothing. I almost became a homeless, far from my family and friends, and losing everything that I had been working hard for many years. I didn't have a place to go. I didn't have friends or families here. And having no families in the US, I have to live with a family of pastor of a church that I never met before in my life. Well, I am thankful for that because they gave me a roof over my head for a couple of months. And I work and pray for weeks trying to find a solution to return. But after not receiving any solution, I was advised to ask for asylum. Yes, you mentioned that word before. And I did it, and I was granted. But I'm gonna mention this because this is very important. I remember that my asylum letter had or listed a lot of benefits for asylees that I didn't understand then. I was scared. And what I did, I decided to call to, first I decided to call because I wanted to find a job. But after I did it, I found an organization that is here in Illinois, and that is called World Relief. I met wonderful people there who helped me to start over in this country. It sounds so easy, but it's not. With their help, I was able to be independent, to move to an apartment, to get important documents that I'm gonna mention just one, a driver's license. That sounds easy, but it's not. To get a survival job, yes. I work in a survival job that I can give you details, but I think this is not the good time for. And eventually, as you mentioned, I teach again. Yes, I am a teacher in the US. Even though I have started to teach again, I'm gonna be honest with you again. I had to start from zero. In this educational system, which was new for me. And I thought that things were getting better because I was doing what I was born for. But I realized that my nightmare was not over. In fact, it was still happening. And it gets worse. In December 2019, I was struggling with my life. I got so depressed, and I wanted to quit my job as a teacher and even to finish my life. What stopped me again? My mom, who said I was not okay and I needed help. And I'm gonna repeat many times that word, help. I remember that I called World Relief again, and they were there for me. They offered me counseling and mental health therapy, something that I never thought before. And they walked me beside me and helped me connect with a church that I am still attending. And I found a very wonderful community there. They are my family. It was one of the hardest times of my life. This period of time, I feel like it was a reminder that we are all humans. I'm a human. And when we need help, we just need to shout, I need help. And it is okay. We have to let others help us. Even though I will speak by myself and for myself here, it's hard and humbly at times. And I am learning that it's not shameful. It is important to get help and advice And as an immigrant, it is important for me, no matter what I had done in my country that I mentioned before. Now here, I feel like I had to go through in a phase, almost like a baby crawling. And a baby who is learning how to walk. But here I am, I got advice, and now I thought and I think about it, and if I haven't taken that advice to apply for asylum and get help, my next step, my story might have been very different right now. So, but everything is not just a good story. I could not return to my country, and I also received many bad comments to me. I heard people saying that I could not do any work related with teaching anymore, and that the best thing that I could do is work in a factory or help us in a daycare. And I work in a factory, and I was able to work in a daycare because I feel like those are humble jobs. And also I was told that things that aren't true, what happened to me. They told me that I was Hispanic, I was Black, and also I was a woman. That all of these things that I have mentioned were all cons, not positive parts of who I was moving forward. And I needed to forget about who I was before. At the beginning, as I told you, I struggled. I got so depressed because I started to believe all of this. But I had to learn to listen to what some people believe. But good people, good thoughts. I remember my counselor said to me, and I will bring this for all the people that are hearing, remember who you are. No matter the circumstances, remember who you are. And I remember that. And I remember that I came from, and I'm going to share a little bit about my grandma. My grandma was an immigrant from the Second World War. She and my grandfather, they needed to come to Venezuela and start over. That gave me the strength to continue and to live as an immigrant in this country. I said, well, it's my turn. And well, so I learned from members of my family, like my grandma and my mother, to be strong, to work hard. And one of my goals is to teach others to fight for themselves and remember who they are. So I needed that strength, and that background led me to do what I did. And I came to the US and I was able to start over again. So I'm gonna say that I'm still crawling, but I know now how to stand up and give steps. Probably they are not firm as I want, but they are firm. And if I fall, I will wake up and I will give another step. Well, I am celebrating. In my third year teaching here. I'm studying, and as you said, I will be graduating in May with a master in a university here in the US, and I hope to do more. This is part of my story, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Yomardy. Tremendously inspirational, your story. Thank you so much. And now we'll go on to Zeynep, who left her homeland, Turkey, with her family at age 17 due to political persecution. She's now a student at DePaul University studying political science, and she hopes to be a voice to the voiceless. Zeynep?
Yes, hi everyone, and thank you, Mary Anne, for introducing me. Like you said, my name is Zeynep Çetin, and I'm 20 years old. I am studying political science at DePaul University. I'm in my second year. And before starting to tell everyone my story, I just wanted to take this moment to thank the organizers of this event for organizing such an event, because I feel like these stories should be talked about. No matter how uncomfortable they might be, we have to talk about what's going on in Venezuela. We have to talk about what's going on in Afghanistan, in Turkey, in China, what's happening to the Uyghur women in China. So thank you for holding this event. And also I want to thank my fellow panelists for being brave enough to share their stories, because I know that it's not always easy to do that. So thank you all so much. Now, as I have mentioned before, I am originally from Turkey, and I now hold the permanent resident status here in the United States as an asylum seeker. But I think my journey of coming to the United States goes back to the year 2016, when the staged coup in Turkey happened as a result of the corrupt actions of the corrupt government of Turkish officials. So after about 2 years of turmoil in Turkey, my younger brother, myself, and my mom fled to the US by plane, and my dad had to cross a river to Greece on a plastic boat, and then had to be reunited with us. So after this staged coup attempt, that was a failed coup attempt, the government of Turkey shut down every media outlet to eliminate those who chose to speak out against the corruption that was going on in Turkey. And they started arbitrarily arresting people of every profession, regardless of their gender, their ages, or their medical condition. And at the time, my father was a high-level bureaucrat working in the government for over like 25 years. And about 30 days after the coup attempt, the failed coup attempt, he was detained with no evidence, just solely on the basis of the claim that he was a member of a terrorist group, which of course was not true. And I vividly remember the day that they came and detained my father, because it's a memory that I don't think I'll ever be able to get out of my mind. And I wanted to share that here tonight. We were about to have dinner as a family, and the doorbell rang. My brother, who was 9 years old at the time, ran up to the door thinking that it was his friends calling him out to play. But instead, he saw 3 heavily armed police officers in the doorway asking for his father to come out. And so I immediately got him out of the house. And I think both for my brother and myself, it was the last time that we saw our father without any restrictions for a long, long time. And after that day, about a week, we couldn't hear anything from my father. We didn't know if he was alive. We didn't know where he had been taken, if he was alive, or we didn't know if he was being tortured. It was a very bad week for all of us, because the arrest itself was not based on any foundation, anything in accordance with the law. So we were not sure what they had done to our father. And after that week, when we heard the news that he was arrested by the court, for the next 18 months, my father stayed in Sincan prison, which is in Ankara, the capital of Turkey, without any indictment for a long time, for quite some time. And the only times we were allowed to see my father was once in 2 weeks, and that was through a thick glass wall that was filled with, dirt spots. We couldn't even see each other clearly, and we had this wired telephone that was not functioning very well, and we had 30 or less minutes to talk to each other in that unsanitary environment. And after those 18 months, after a year and a half, he was released, but his trial was pending. And about 2 days after my father's release, we received news that my mom, who was a handicrafts teacher at the time, was also going to be put on trial for aiding a terrorist group. I think it was at that moment that we knew that the country we once called home and we loved was no longer habitable for us. So we decided to move to the United States, to fled to the United States, where my older brother was studying at college here, to start a new chapter in our lives. But because my father had been, again, arbitrarily arrested, and I feel the need to stress the arbitrary arrest every time I mention my father's arrest, because it's just so distressing to say that condition, and just to trying to prove yourself, because it was because of political persecution going on in the country. I feel the need to stress that every time I say that my father was detained or arrested. So he was arbitrarily arrested and his trial was pending. He had to get out of the country through illegal ways. So he crossed, like I mentioned, the Meritza River with a boat, a plastic boat that was very risky, that could turn over at any moment and kill the ones within it. So gladly he passed the river without any injuries or any incidents. And as soon as we heard news from him, my mom, my younger brother, and I packed our bags in a day, and then we flew here to the United States. And after a year, we applied to asylum, and we were granted asylum status. And after about a year, I think, we were reunited with my dad. And I think things definitely got better once we got to the United States, because we went through the asylum process. Now we were granted asylum and we were safe here. I felt safe here. And I think this is my and my family's journey to the United States in a nutshell. But now that we're here, I can say that the transition was very smooth, since the emotions that I felt, the fear that I felt in Turkey is not existent here. Because now each time a doorbell rings, I don't jump up from my seat. I'm not afraid that my parents are going to be taken away from me at any time. And I feel like since the United States is a country, which has immersed the idea of, the land of the free and the home of the brave, I have not experienced any enormous challenges regarding my status, because I sometimes think that if I had gone to a country that is that has characteristics of a state nation country more, I would face a lot of other challenges regarding, adaptation, language, which are still some of the struggles that I'm facing now. But I feel like racism and those kind of issues would be on a higher level, I think. So yeah, and the best advice I have gotten over this immigration process is that be patient and do what you have to do, as in, do not worry too much about what's going to happen next, because you can't really change the past or the future. The only thing that you can do is focus on the present and use the time and the resources that you are given now. So do that, and all will be well in the end, hopefully. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Zeynep. And again, the stories are really amazing. I'm sitting here amazed, and I do some volunteer work with refugees and asylees, and we've heard two stories now that are just they're believable. They're very believable, but inspiring again. Okay, next we have Maryam Yusufi, and she came here from Afghanistan just this past August, along with our last panel member, who I'll introduce after her. But after 4 months in camps, when she left Afghanistan in August, spent 4 months in camps, and then arrived in Washington, D.C. with the assistance of Restore Her Voice. She has a BA in business management and worked as a freelance journalist with the Afghan Post and Voice of America. In Afghanistan, she had her own online clothing line. That's interesting. So Mary Anne, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy that I'm here and talking about my story. And I'm very glad that we are talking about these things. I think these are very important to talk about these things and share awareness if it will help others. I have this feeling. So as you said, yes, I'm Maryam Yusufi. I'm from Afghanistan. I have a lot of things on my mind. I'm just trying to say the main points and say this story as a short. So I was born and raised in Afghanistan, in Kabul, and I graduated from school and university there. I started my work there. I never had experience of immigration in other country. So I raised in Afghanistan. We were working very hard in our country to build our country, to build our career. And among uncertainties that we had in our country, we were hopeful to move forward and to create a positive image of Afghanistan in the world, especially Afghan women. Because we had a lot of our young generation of Afghanistan, and as a freelancer journalist, I was working in this side. I was watching them, that how day by day everything is growing and how everyone is working hard for our country. Growing up in Afghanistan was always challenging. It was never safe especially for women. But among those uncertainties, there were opportunities that we were very helpful for those to make our dreams come true, and we see our country as a development country among other countries in the world. So I was very excited all the time to go to my different jobs. I had all these 3 jobs at the same time, and I was also studying, and it was very exciting for me. I like challenges and I like to solve them. I like to find opportunities and work for them. So in Afghanistan, I started my job as in a local radio, and then I was hosting a morning show and a TV. I work as producer presenters in different media organizations and platforms, and also I had the chance to work as a freelancer with Voice of America. And also because I had my degrees on business management, I always love to work on Afghanistan fashion and clothing designs that we have, especially the vintage designs that we have. And because of war and the problems that our country had, we never had time to talk about those things. So I started my clothing brand also. I was working very hard about that. I had a lot of dreams, and so I remember on August 15, I went to my office like other days. A colleague of mine came and said that, Maryam, don't ask anything. As soon as possible, go to your home. I was shocked, and I said that, why? And he said, don't ask anything. Go to your home. I said, no, nothing will happen. So we never thought that a day will come like that it was my last day in my office in my country. When I get out of my office, I saw that everyone is running. Everyone is the fear, I don't know how to explain the situation, but the situation was really hard. I never thought that will happen. The traffic jam, everyone was walking. People were saying that you can't find car, go to your home by walking and just run. After 2 hours, when I arrived to my house, I saw that my mother is crying, and she's saying that we have to hide you somewhere, because what I was doing in Afghanistan, it was Taliban were against what we were doing there. So my mother was crying. I said that, it's okay, mother, anything you want to say. And she said that, go wear something longer. We have to go somewhere and hide you. And because of my mother, I was like, okay, I want to go with you. After my office, I had to leave my home in my house. Then I went to my relative house. We stayed there for 4 nights, and then I come back to my house because I was missing my room smells. And I came to collect some of my most important things in a backpack. And it was really hard for me to just put my everything in a backpack and leave my country. So it was really hard for me. I couldn't decide what to do, what's happening, what's going on, and everything was happening in hours, in minutes. And so it has a lot of things to say, but in short, I want to say that Elham called me and told me that, Maryam, you have to decide, you have to leave this country and we have to go somewhere to be safe for our country. So I decided to get out of Afghanistan on August 24. First, we went to Abu Dhabi. We stayed there for 48 days in humanitarian city. The problem was that no one was there to tell us what's happening, where are we going, who is helping us, and how this process is. So we were just waiting. So the only thing that they were telling us was wait and have patience. So we had to stay there, and after 48 days on Abu Dhabi, because there were 13,000 people in Abu Dhabi, but 1,700 people were eligible to get out of there because they had documents, they had visa, they had American passports, or they had SIV. Because I also had SIV case number, that's why I was able to get out of there. Then we came to Philadelphia, to United States, and after that we went to New Mexico and Texas border in Dona Ana camp. We stayed there for another 48 days to complete our paperwork, our medical, and everything that belonged to there. So we stayed there. I never had the experience to live in a camp. I couldn't go anywhere. I was a girl that every week I had a lot of things to do, but suddenly I was a person to just stay in a corner of this world and just wait that what will happen next. I never know that. So after that, as you said, Restore Her Voice, it's a nonprofit organization that they helped us to get inside the airport. When we was in Afghanistan, thousands of people were around the airport, and that was really hard to get inside the airport. The Taliban was there, US Army was there, people were there. So it was a very hard situation. After three days and night, we could get inside the airport. So when we came here, Elham came before us here, Restore Her Voice, find her a host family. She was staying in her house, and they hosted me as well. I stayed there for almost 3 months. Lori and Joe, they helped us here. So I'm very grateful that we know them here, and I'm very thankful for that. Because if they were not here and their help were not here, so it was really hard for us to come in a country that we have no family here. Fortunately, we have some friends, but still it was really hard. So they tried to find us a house and with a group of their friends and help us to stay here. So right now I have, I am eligible for SIV. Still I'm waiting for the process to become complete. And still some of my friends advised me that if I'm eligible for SIV, still I have to apply for Asylum if it works. So right now I'm here. I'm just trying to deal with trauma that happened to us. Talking about these things may look very easy and not that much hard, but it was really hard. It was the most hard time of my life. I lost my everything, like everything, and became in a very new country. But fortunately, from the day I'm here, I never thought that I'm not in my country, because here is different people from different countries, from different culture. It helps me to not feel alone here. And also people are very kind here. They are very helping, and I'm very thankful for this. So right now I'm trying to, again, start my studies here and work to launch my clothing brand again here.
Thank you, Maryam. Now we will hear from Elham, who is Maryam's best friend. I think you heard her say that the two of them left together from Afghanistan. And Elham was hoping that there'd still be something left to tell by the time it got to her. So we're going to pass it on to Elham and ask her to tell her story. And I'm sure there are different pieces of the story. So we want to hear her story too. Elham?
Thank you so much, Marian. Yeah, I'm Elham Karimi, and I'm from Afghanistan, and I I think in Afghanistan, people experienced being immigrants many times. Like I born in Iran because in that time, Taliban was in Afghanistan, and my father was a police officer, and they were searching for him, and he had to flee the country to Iran, and I born there and raised there. And when Taliban got out of the country, we were able to go back to our country and start a new life. And I was just 7 years old when I came back to my country. And what I was seeing and the image which I have never had from my country was so different. Like when I entered to Herat, which I'm from the Herat province, and the city was everywhere you could see the evidence of war. So from that time, from 2001 up to 2021, I was evidence of the changes in Afghanistan. And in these years, people were trying to build the country again, like they built many times. And yeah, I went to school. I was dreaming always about to be a musician. Like I was a girl in my province where people cannot accept being a girl to be a musician. I started to go to university and study music there. And then I started my career as a journalist in Afghanistan, and I worked in several channels, and I was presenting and producer in social programs. But in 2020, I started working with BBC in Afghanistan, and I was the multimedia journalist in BBC, and I was presenting and producing news and radio BBC in Afghanistan. So yeah, it's clear that I am not the one who is accepted by Taliban. I had many reports about brutality of Taliban. I was a free girl in Afghanistan who Taliban cannot accept it. Even some of the people cannot accept it. So, but at that time, people like Maryam and I, we were a group of people that we built a small world for ourselves in our country. And we were feeling like we are in our home, even though there were lots of problems. So on August 15, when we lost our country and Taliban entered Kabul, we were just thinking about how we can leave the country. And because we did know that we will not be alive. And even before Taliban arrived to Afghanistan, we did know that there would be a possibility for Taliban to arrive Kabul, because they were discovering lots of provinces. And Maryam and I, we were applying for getting admission from a university from India, and we got admission, and we were applying for student visa to go to India and start studying and make a life there, at least for some time. But it didn't happen, because the day before to go for requesting visa, Taliban arrived Kabul, and it happened. So yeah, we were in a situation that we were waiting for any call to say you can go to airport. Like I was waiting for several flights which our office were managing it, and I was ready to get out of my house. And one day I was sleeping, and one of my friends called me that there is a possibility to go to US. Are you happy to go to US? And I said, yes, I can go anywhere and I'm happy to leave. And he said, okay, so get your backpack and leave the house. And I just had to do it. And I just left the house. And when I arrived to airport, even I haven't had the time to hug my father and say goodbye, because I just had to jump from the street and enter the airport. So I just say goodbye and left. And when we arrived to airport, it was like a prisoner which is released from a prison. And we were thinking, okay, now we are safe and we will have a place to go. So after 3 days, on August 23rd, on my birthday, I arrived to US. And when we arrived here, we were a group of people which we came here through Restore Her Voice, a nonprofit organization. And we said we have to make a life here. We have to be the voice of people who they don't have voice now in Afghanistan, the people who cannot talk, the people who doesn't have their very simple rights. So we tried to do this, but when we had an action, the Taliban start to have an action vice versa. And like when we had a voice, they called my father, and they were searching for my father, and my father had to left the house in a moment without anything. I had the chance to get a backpack, but my father haven't had any chance to get a even one dress to wear, one cloth to wear. So he had to leave the house. And after 2.5 months of hiding, he were able to get out of the country and go to Abu Dhabi to wait there. And it's about 6 months, which he is in Abu Dhabi, and there is no clearance that he would be able to come here or not, or any other countries. But at least I'm happy that he is safe. And I got a job here. I start working as a journalist again. I'm working as a journalist now, and I'm happy and I'm glad that I had this chance. I found very, very nice people here. What I felt here is there are lots of people who they are welcoming Afghans or many other immigrants by open-handed, and they are happy to help. Like Lori and Joe were people who they were helping me and Maryam a lot, and there were friends of them that they were helping us a lot. And I'm happy that at least I'm the one who had the chance to see nice people around her in a moment which we are all suffering from depression. We have a trauma, maybe it would be with us for years and years, but when I feel I'm lucky, I left, I am alive, and I have a home here, I have friends, and I build a house, and I build a group of people that they are helping, and that's the thing that make me happy.
Thank you, Elham. And I neglected to go through your whole introduction. You've told us some of it, but a couple things that I don't think you talked about was that you ran an exporting business in Afghanistan. Are you doing any of that here?
Not yet, because I need to bring my products to here. Like I was exporting from Afghanistan, and it's somehow hard to export it here because there is no possibility now. So I'm searching for ways to bring my products, which is saffron from Afghanistan. So I would be happy, which I can start my business again here, which I love it.
Okay, and the other thing I don't think we mentioned was that you were a member of the Afghan women's cycling team.
Yes, you know, it was so hard to be a girl who is riding a bicycle in Afghanistan. Actually, Maryam was in this team before, and I joined them later. But in recent years, we were trying to find a way to practice to be ready for races, but the problem was the security was not letting us to be prepared and be as much as strong as the men are in cycling team, and because we haven't had that opportunity. But in here, from the day I came here, someone gifted me a bicycle, and I'm going to practice again and start cycling.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, now we've heard from all four panelists. These are, as are all the people I've ever known who've come here under similar circumstances, resilient, strong, brave women, all four of you. And thank you for sharing your stories. And if we have time, we might be able to take a couple of questions, and anyone can choose to, whoops, I just lost them again. Anyone can choose to answer this, but one question that I thought was very interesting is, what do our panelists, or what have our panelists found oddest or hardest to get used to here? What kind of things were difficult? And anyone can, who would like to take this one?
Let me say something. Not hardest, but from the day I'm here, I'm noticing that there is a system. If you know the system, if you try to adjust in the system, so everything is very easy. But if you don't know anything, and if you don't educate yourself about the system here, so it's really hard to live here. So when I'm saying system, like there is in your phone, everything's in your phone. If you want to ask for a taxi, if you want to use your bank account, if you want to anything, if you want to buy something, if you want to shop anything, so it's easy. When it's not that much hard to learn and educate yourself about those things. So yes, if you try to learn, so new beginning is all about learning. It's all about you are seeing everything, you're experiencing new thing, and I'm very glad that there's a big system and I can educate myself and I can adjust to the system. But if you don't educate yourself, so it's the hardest thing to live here. Like when you have your map, everything is in your finger. But if you don't know how to use it, so you can go nowhere. So I think that this is the experience that I had here.
Okay, anyone else want to add to that?
I just want to add that as Mary Anne, I agree with her. We need to ask if we don't know anything. We need to ask. For example, I will tell something that for me, the weather, the weather in my country is always sunny, and occasionally you will see the rain. But yes, I also got education. Learn how to drive with the snow. I'm still struggling, but yes, I needed to ask how to drive with the snow because it's not the same. Learn how to eat some food. It's also important. And it's all a system. It's all different. The insurance, go to the doctor. If you are sick, you can go to the doctor, but you need to learn when to go and when not to go. Because then your bills will arrive home, and that is very, very high. No matter if you are not educated in your country, That is not a rock. That is not a wall. As I told you before, we learn everything. Study English. There are many courses that people can take for free, but they don't know. So all this country has everything, but we need to learn how to use all those resources. So I agree with you, Maryam.
Okay, anyone else?
Can I respond to this and the other question at the same time? Yeah, it's really hard when you realize if you're sick and go to hospital. The bills which comes to you is so high. So it wasn't like this in my country. And even in here, when you are going to an emergency, they are giving you a very long form to fill in, and while you are a sick person, so it's hard. And the financial problem is a big problem here to adjust to this. I think it takes a lot of time, but I was happy that there were people that they were helping me. But someone asked about the uneducated people who they came here. So I want to respond to this. It is very, very hard to be in a country which you don't know the language. First of all, when you don't know the language, even if you are literate, it's hard. So while you don't know that language and you are illiterate, it is a big challenge. And there are lots of Afghans who came here, like they were special forces, but they were not literate. So it's very hard for them to adjust. And the biggest problem is the government is not supporting them for a long time. And it takes a lot of time, even for educated people to find a job. But I always thinking about them, that it is very hard to find a job. I think there are resettlement agencies which they are helping them to find jobs as well, but still it's hard even for those agencies to find jobs for them.
Thank you. I
I
know
just wanted to add, sorry, I just wanted to add on to my fellow panelists about the first question, the oddest or the hardest part of being in the United States. I think they summed it up perfectly, but I can't say anything but agree with them about figuring out the system and the culture. Once you figure out the system, I think all falls into place. All those puzzle pieces falls into their places. But I think the hard part is figuring out that system. And for me specifically, one specific challenge was, since I was a senior in high school when I moved here, I was about to be a senior in high school when I moved here. I think the college application process was a tough one to figure out, because in my country, one entrance exam was it. You took the entrance exam, you either got in or you didn't get in. But here it was all these different components weighing in your application, and I think that was a challenge for me. And it still is, since I'm planning to apply to law school. But I guess in time, if we figure out the system and how it works, all will fall into place.
Thank you. Sue, are we running out of time, or what's our situation here?
We are actually a little bit over 8 o'clock. If there's maybe one more question you want to take, I think we still have a lot of folks online and paying attention and listening. So if you'd like to take another question. I know there were some questions, there's some concern about the folks left behind in Afghanistan. You know, do Maryam and Elham, what do they hear from folks? How are conditions there now?
Can I go for?
Yes, please.
The hardest part is to follow the news about people who they left in the country. As a journalist, every day I'm following this news, and there are girls who they are protesting. There were girls, they were protesting, and they were arrested, they raped, they punished, and they some of them released, and now they don't have a voice. They cannot talk, they cannot use the social media, and they cannot say what happened to them, and no one knows about them. And if you are a girl and you want to work, you cannot. If you are a girl, you want to educate, you cannot. If you are a girl and you want to live freely, you cannot. The only thing that you can is to marry and give birth to your children. That's all that you can do as a girl in Afghanistan now. And there are lots of people who still they are hiding. I am connected with some protesting girls in Afghanistan, and every day they are texting me that please find a way to get out of the country. There are many of them that I was trying to get Pakistan's visa or some other country's visa for them, but the problem is financially they cannot stay in a country that they don't know the language, or they don't have any job to earn money, so they should stay in Afghanistan. And here in Afghanistan, they will struggle by because of their security, but in another country, when there is no financial aids, so they will die by starving. So they need to choose how to live, but still there are lots of people who they were eligible to come to US, at least come to US because they worked with US government, but still they are in Afghanistan.
That's it's very hard to, yes, it's very hard to hear. I'm sure. I think because AAUW is an organization of women and men seeking equality for women, even in this country, I think we're aware, but it's hard. It's hard to hear. Seems like our fight never ends to try to advance women and girls in this country and in the world. We just have to keep trying. I guess that's, if there are any other questions that we didn't get answered, if anyone would like to send us, you can email questions to aauwnaper@gmail.com. I can also put that in the chat. And we'd be happy to pass questions on to any of our panelists. If you'd be, if you're interested in answering, we can always pass on answers. I think, Mary Anne, if you want to wrap it up, that's fine.
Okay.
May I add something?
Yes, please.
As a person who came to US, and I'm not alone, lots of Afghans came to US. We were trying to convince the Congress to pass Afghan Adjustment Act, and we had lots of meetings to congressmen, and if the Afghan Adjustment Act approved, there would be a big change for Afghans, because we are here with a status which is not for a long time, and while you don't have a green card or something that can help you to stay here, it's very hard. There are lots of jobs that educated people are applying for it, but they cannot go for it because they don't have even green card. So one of the problems which Afghans who they came here, they are suffering is their unstable status.
Yes, thank you. And I've heard about that bill, but I'm not sure what state it's in. In fact, I'm thinking AAUW, I don't know if it was our branch or national has actually, somewhere I read about it in AAUW information materials. So, and again, thank you all 4 of our panelists. Every one of your stories is so inspirational, and I just, amazing. You're all amazing. And I just want to congratulate all of you for how far you've already gotten, when you've had to basically give up everything in your previous life and start all over again. It always amazes me when I see this, and I see it in younger people and older people who have come here, and you all are no different. We don't appreciate the treasure that you are to our country. So I just want to say that. And thank you everybody for being here, and hopefully you've all learned something. I'm sure you've all learned something from each of our panelists. Thank you very much.
As a
Thank you.
closing thoughts, I wanted
Yes,
to say,
please.
I just wanted to add that yes, we are here and we're free, thankfully, but there are still women and children incarcerated in different parts of the world, including Turkey, that are waiting for people like us to basically be their voice and just, I guess, just be their voice and help them out of that situation. So thank you so much for holding this event to be the voice of the voiceless.